Okay, hey there, this is Stacia, and it's time to do an analysis session on my round two Twitter game, which ended very untimely with a queen blunder, which, okay, fine, but otherwise, I thought it was a very interesting game, and I do intend to, number one, improve my opening line from this analysis, and number two, talk about what I saw in the game and then go over it and see if it was correct. And we're going to try and learn how to improve a chess. So, okay, I'm going to turn off the Lee chess analysis for a second. So, this is actually the first time I've analyzed on Lee chess, at least for a video. So, in my game against my opponent from New Zealand, I played 1e4. And all right, I looked up his games and like 95% of the time he played c5. And I think he must have made like a recent switch because he played e5. And I saw this like just a few times in his repertoire. So I had prepared all kinds of stuff for him in the Mora. I actually prepared this line. In this position, he plays knight c6, and I was going to play here. This maintains the Mora gambit. He usually takes, and then he plays knight here. And I planned some pretty interesting continuations from here. But no deal. Sometimes that happens when you prepare lines. So I played here, and he played e5. So I thought for sure here I would just go for a king's gambit, and I figured I'd be more familiar with him in these lines. I've been playing the king's gambit for, let's see, 15 months now, and I will tell you that I'm mostly comfortable with it now. I really do actually enjoy it. So I am confused as to why the computer is showing these arrows. Okay, I'm going to turn the arrows off for a second. I think I know how now. Okay, yeah, like, and just so you know, I mean, the computer gives F4 like a question mark exclam, but this is a known move. I mean, like Paul Morphy played this, Bobby Fischer played this. I mean, they don't play it at the very top level anymore, but this is very playable at the 2200 level and below. Okay, so the most testing continuation would be to take my pawn. I mean, it's free, right? But my opponent chose bishop c5, so let's go with that. This is called the King's Gambit decline line, and against this, I play knight f3. They usually play d6, so the idea is to simply secure this bishop outside the pawn chain where it's very annoying for white. So now that this f pawn is not on f2 and it's on f4, that means this diagonal is wide open right into my king side. So the lines for white from here deal with this bishop and how you're going to get him out of there, basically. Like one of the lines is knight c3 with the idea of going like this. And because he played d6, you know, he'd have to go, even if he goes here, it's like, you're going to get that bishop. So that's hunting him down that way. And the line that was recommended to me by my main chess trainer, Michael Jolson, is the move c3. And this is nice because we're going to build a center and deal with the bishop at the same time. Okay, knight f6 is the best move. It attacks this pawn right away. And I went d4. So this is all theory. Now, the main continuation from here is takes, takes, check, bishop here, here, here. And as I mentioned in the game, the knight appears on d2 and defends the pawn on e4, which is currently attacked. So that's how it normally goes. And I've had many games from this position. That is not how this game went. So the first thing that I learned is that I messed up in my mind exactly what position I was facing. I recently played the computer in a training game in this line, and the computer went takes, takes, And I played the strongest engine. Well, I figure that's how you learn things, right? And the computer played here, which surprised me at the time, but it turned out to be very strong. And I'm calling this the bishop preservation line for the King's Gambit Decline Classical. Um, and I almost always face bishop check in that position. However, I didn't have that line, did I? I faced bishop b6 immediately without the pawn trades. And there is a difference. Um, the difference is that the c3 square isn't available for my knight. That's the main difference. Because in this other line, whoops, sorry about that. In this other line, when black plays bishop b6, we go knight c3 right now. And this does guard the pawn. And but in the game, this is actually a little more difficult to face because now I don't have knight c3. So I have to defend my pawn somehow. And yeah, it's not that easy. I played bishop d3. This looks like the most natural move. It's the move I play in the other lines. Now, normally in the King's Gambit, you want to play bishop c4 and apply pressure to the f7 square. But, or at least, yeah, in most of the lines I play, that's what happens. But in these decline lines, sometimes you have to go bishop d3. It's a bit of a compromise because you're basically saying, okay, I have this really awesome center, and now I'm going to defend it because black is going to attack the crap out of it, basically. So, okay. Before we look at that continuation, sorry, I am thorough. I want to look at the main line. So let's see what actually happens in the main line of this. So after bishop d6, database, sorry, 3 are wins for white, 2 are wins for black, and 1's a draw. Bishop c4 is the move where black wins. Bishop c4. Oh, black playing this, or white playing this. And in the bishop g5, white does better. Yeah, and I mentioned this during the game as well. I said, hey, I want to take here and play bishop g5. Okay, so I wasn't too far off with that idea. So, all right, I guess they do this. It's a greedy way to play, though. I mean, if you're playing a game, usually you're not trying. So the first thing that here, I considered a4 during the game, but I didn't like this continuation. I thought, okay, a6, I go here, he goes here. What did I really accomplish from this? I don't really know, but the computer calculates farther than me and says that somehow this helps white. I'm guessing because the computer values space, and we have gained some space on the queen side by including these 4 tempi. All right, so good to know that I could throw that in. The second thing, though, well, there is no second thing. I just want to continue. Bishop d3. Okay. So here, okay. Here, my opponent played c6. I think he played perfect until this move. I was actually concerned during the game. All of All of it was book until this move. C6 is weird, and I'll tell you why. Um, black Black's plan should be to counterattack the center. All three of these pawns are actually vulnerable right now and are subject to attack. Like, for example, the F pawn is subject to this. Um, this pawn is subject to this, pinning the knight that's defending it. And this is already going to take once, so it's not defended by a pawn like you think. And this pawn too is very weak. It's only defended by the bishop. And when he takes here in castles, he has rook e8, applying pressure on that. So all of this stuff happens. Okay, so white is basically in defensive mode and has to play accurately and defend the center. C6 does not play into that plan whatsoever. I don't see any point to prop up d5, and I don't see any point to make a space for this bishop. He should definitely stay on this diagonal. This is the annoying diagonal where he belongs. So if he was making left for his bishop, this is correct instead. So, okay, c6 to me is just a clear mistake. It's just a waste of a tempo in a position where tempos matter quite a bit. Better is castles. That's what black should play instead. So, if he had castled, this would have been a lot harder for me. I probably would have castled. So let's look at what the computer would do here. I'll turn on the arrows for a minute. It's still like save 4. I was going to analyze for 10 minutes, but not even out of the opening. Okay. So, wow, the computer's giving the moves I thought about, a6 and a5. Let's go with a6. I would go here. It likes black after this. Thinks this is better. Now this. And take. Okay. Yeah, and this is really curious to me that we can play this way. So, I mean, we're not playing a King's Gambit anymore. You know what I mean? I mean, we kind of are, but we're not playing in the spirit of the King's Gambit, which is give away a pawn and play for initiative and attack. I mean, we're grabbing material now. They never took our F pawn. We traded it, and then we won their E pawn. So now, I would say black has the chances for initiative, and black is castled. We are not castled. Black has more development. Black wants to bust open the position with c5. Okay. But that's how it goes. It can switch back and forth depending on who's grabbing pawns and who isn't. So, all right. Let's go back to the game. After c6, which is a waste of tempo, turning the arrows back off, I played castles. Okay, great. Now he castled. And it was a situation that I played king h1. And I want to explain why I did that. I think the obvious move here is to do what the computer showed. I analyzed this during the game. Pawn takes, and knight takes. Looks like a free pawn. But the problem is I saw a line where I thought black was doing okay. We'll have to see though. I thought after this he actually might have bishop takes check, and after pawn takes, queen takes check. And this would fork my king and knight. Now the thing I don't know though is that after I move my king away to h1 and he takes the knight, does this benefit me or not? I didn't think about it too much during the game, to be honest. I just saw that and I thought, yeah, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to allow that. But the computer actually says that, let's see. Yeah, black is -1. So turns out my intuition was correct. And so let's see if it gives that line as well. Wow, yeah, it wants king h1. And it says taking is a mistake because of bishop d4 check. Holy crap. So I actually got a tactic correct. Hey, sound the alarms. I calculated something correctly. Yeah, very suspicious. working on my calculation though, so that actually makes me quite happy that I saw that one. All right, I played king h1. He went bishop g4. This move looks natural, bishop g4, but I don't think it's good because of h3. Let's see if I'm right. Here, the computer actually calls for bishop e3. I played h3 in the game, which the computer also likes. Okay. The thing about h3, though, is that if you're going to play this move, you have to calculate bishop h5. Whoops. You basically have to calculate what happened in the game. You got to calculate bishop h5, g4, and then there's two sacrifices. So black can choose to preserve their knight or their bishop and sacrifice the other. It also maintains the pin. So, okay. This is what happened in the game. Let's see what the computer wants, though. It's saying this is best, which I wanted during the game. I actually thought it was best as well. And I thought I was better here. Computer says plus 0.5. Okay. Yeah, that's kind of what I thought. Like, I'm better. I'm not winning. But I'm doing fine, and this is a pretty comfortable position to play, I think. So happy with this. So instead, oh, and the other thing I want to look at is that after bishop g4, I wanted to think about knight bd2, but I think he could take here. Yeah, computer agrees. E takes f4, it says. Yeah, and white's still better here, but it's harder to see why. Like it wants knight c4, attacking the bishop. I have to think my opponent would play here, but d5 is better. Giving it, I would take this, I think. So the game could have continued like this. I am guarding this still. Queen c2, attacking h7 and h6. Okay. So it could have went like this as well, and white has a slight edge here. This somehow feels, yeah, it's okay. Okay, I agree. I'm not always as versed as the computer, to say the least. Okay. h3 though, totally playable. And I think bishop h5 is just an obvious mistake. So if you're going to play bishop h5, then you're committed to the sacrifices, because if I go g4 and you go bishop here, your bishop is now trapped and you're losing. So now you have to commit to the sacrifice, which you do get 2 pawns for a piece, and you do create a naked and afraid king on h1. So let's look at that. This happened in the game. The other sacrifice, we'll look at it real quick, I think isn't as good because now my knight's not pinned, so it actually is guarding h4, and so the queen can't really swing in. If the queen could get to this square, then I might feel differently, but it's not happening here, and yeah, the computer says +3, white's winning. I totally agree. So in the game, this way. Okay, so I have to admit, like, in analysis, you know, we've looked at this king on h1 and said, oh yeah, white can get their pieces over. It's fine. In a real game, however, I have to admit, I was nervous. Okay, I'm playing a lower-rated opponent. And when I'm doing that, I think my best strategy to win the game is to not fall behind on time, which I already was failing at, and to not make things too complicated. Because when I play lower rated opponents, being that I'm only 1650 USCF, That means that my opponents will make pretty bad mistakes in almost all cases if I just wait them out. So, creating complications where they have attacking chances like this, like objectively, I'm better here. But if I don't play right, I could get checkmated, right? So, okay. I felt nervous during the game, but overall, I knew that my position was good. Okay, let's continue. Queen e2. Now, Megan, I don't know if she'll watch this video or not, but if you are, I saw that you made a comment that I didn't undo the pin, and you made like a frown face about that. So, yeah, I computer agrees with you. So, this must be wrong. Um, of course, I thought about undoing the pin, but I wanted to answer bishop takes, rook takes, queen check with queen h1. So let's look at that. After queen e2, this is not the best move, but I was considering it. You should always consider all captures. I think I have to take with a rook here. Computer agrees. And now this is the best move. Wow. Computer says king g2. Really? Wow. Now that I'm looking at it, I kind of get it. If I go there, it's going to be hard to check my king down the g file because I have this move. And soon enough, I should be able to. I just need 3 tempi, and then my rook will be coming out to the on the first rank. So king g2, let's just look at what the computer says here. I'm just curious. Yeah, queen g4 check. I would play rook g3. Yeah, this is best. Then it wants to trade. Wow. Well, if the computer wants to trade queens, that's very suspicious already. I'd say white's doing really good. I mean, you're down a piece. If you don't keep your queen on the board, then what are you doing, right? So, okay, something went wrong here for black. So let's see how my move was. I was worried about queen e1 check here. Wow, computer wants to take. I don't understand this. I don't agree with the engine. I mean, how is white not completely winning here? Computer says plus 3.6. It agrees that white's winning, so I guess that just means black has no attack. Huh. Very interesting. Okay, let's go back. So what was I supposed to play instead of queen e2? Let's see if we can figure it out together. Okay, if the goal is to undo the pin like Megan suggested, which is probably correct, then maybe queen e1 is a move. And maybe queen d2. Oh, I think I like queen c2 the best. Queen c2 continues with my idea. Is there a downfall to that, though? Let me think. Still guarding the bishop, not guarding. No, still guarding here too. No, it seems okay. So if I had played this instead, which I like better, this is the move that the computer wants. I was looking at this during the game. I would have taken this way. Yeah, and the cool thing is there's not this anymore because I actually am not pinned. They'd have to take here first if they want that pawn. But that's too greedy when you're down a piece. Yeah, rook h3 now. Computer wants. I'm wondering if I would have played here, actually. Queen h4 check. I don't know about all this. I was worried about this during the game. It definitely looks awkward. Okay, so this is attacked twice, which means I need the rook defending it. Actually, it's only defended once, so wow, I can go bishop g1. That's definitely hard to see. I can't go here because, well, can I? No, I can't. He would take the bishop, pretty sure, right? That's winning for black. So I can't go rook f1. And if I go here, probably, well, what happens here? Yeah, okay. Black wins my rook in the corner. Yeah, this is tough. Okay. So now let's look at Megan's move, unpinning, queen e1. So this is the top computer move, and I think I recall them suggesting this in the chat. So queen e1 basically says, what does it say? I'm thinking, now if takes queen h4 check. I'm actually guarding it with the queen. Okay. Yeah, okay. I agree. I like queen e1 in hindsight. So queen e2 was a bit of an inaccuracy for me. And my opponent played queen f6, which was a weird move. The idea was this, which turned out to be a blunder because I guarded against it. Also, I don't see the point. Like, let's say, I mean, even if I gave him a free move, let's say I played a3 or something silly. I mean, is this even a threat? Can't I just go queen h2? Computer agrees with me, even after this. I have no problems. So, okay. So instead of queen f6, what should black have done here? Let's think about it for a second. I think black should probably get more pieces in the attack, open the position. Okay, so I like this move. I would take here. Wow, computer wants queen g2. Attack that bishop. I'm pretty sure I would have played here. f5, yeah. I agree with f5 as well. I mean, this helps to get the rook in the game because when you take here now, this rook is involved. It's also giving knight a6 soon, which seems weird. That I don't understand. Okay, but yeah, I mean, basically, black has to try to come up with some kind of attack. I think if I was black, I would have really tried to get the knight involved, even if it took time that I didn't have, because to me, that just seems like the best chance. Also, opening the position as quick as possible. But okay, let's continue. Queen f6 was played, and here I took. This seems. I mentioned during the game that I really want to develop instead, but I didn't like after bishop here, I didn't like e takes f4. Computer agrees this would be played, and I have to go bishop d2, and I'm still okay. But this isn't ideal, so I think taking here is necessary. Yeah, it's a tempo on the queen. Now, he can take with a pawn, but he played here, and yeah, that's unfortunate. And let's talk about this queen blunder for a second, because strong players, you're going to be like, oh yeah, you know, I'd never do that. But the truth is, we all are capable of moves like this. And I'm going to go ahead and talk about the psychology of blundering in this way, because I've done it myself. When you blunder like this, you often forgot to ask what your opponent's move did. So first of all, he didn't ask what pawn takes pawn does. He just thought, oh cool, I can throw in this tempo move and check the king. And he also must not have asked what can white do to defend my threat? Because even if this pawn was still here, queen h6 check is artificial because of queen h2. Offering a queen trade, it basically improves the position of my queen. It lines my queen up on the king side here. And he will have to move and I'll get a tempo for development, like knight or bishop development. So I think those two ideas were missed by my opponent, but especially this one. And I teach my students that, well, I usually wait till they're over 1,000, but I like to teach them about what happens when a pawn moves, because pawn moves are the sneakiest moves in all of chess. I'm not even joking. Like, pawn moves look so innocent. It's like, oh, they only moved a pawn. But when a pawn moves, so many things happen. You have to look, like in this example, this pawn took. Let's look at everything this pawn did, okay? It did a tempo on the queen and it attacked another pawn. So it's creating tempos there. The second thing it did was open up diagonals. So it opened up this. It opened up this file. And I mean, what else? It vacated this square. So if I had a knight or a piece that wanted to occupy that square is now vacant for things. And you always have to look at where the pawn will go next. So it's very complicated what pawns do, because a pawn move to me changes the nature of the battlefield. Okay, it changes the pawn structure, which determines a lot of different things. Like a pawn on f4 is playing a different role than when it's not there. Like, just for example, I think of it, if this pawn's on f4, then g5 is an outpost, just for example. And I'm always threatening to take here, which is different than it actually being gone. And now I'm actually threatening to move my knight with tempo because of discoveries. Actually, that would be the worst move ever, but still, you get my point. I can move my knight away and the queen's attacked. So yeah, I think pawn moves are super sneaky. And so if my opponent was my student, I would assign him some homework where he would look at different positions where a pawn captures or a pawn moves, and he has to basically note everything that happens when that takes place. So this pawn moves, so we have a number of things to look at. It's attacking the queen, it's attacking the d6 pawn, it's threatening e6. Does that matter? You got to at least ask the question. And can anything occupy the f4 square? Does that matter? And what files and diagonals have opened? And even ranks. Sometimes ranks open up too. Not in this case. So, okay. I think that completes my analysis. Well, one last thing. Let's see what the computer would have done, because I am curious. I'm pretty sure I'm just winning, but let's see what the computer would have done against this. The computer was going to take here. Okay, fine. I was going to play bishop e3 here. Computer would take. I was planning this. Computer would take. I guess I just gave up a pawn. I did. But, okay, let's take with a rook. I have to imagine I'm still okay here. So the game could have gone something like this. I'm still up a piece. Bishop there, I wonder why. Okay. Yeah, and I think in this position, oh, I am down some pawns, that's for sure. Yeah, white's actually not that much better. White's +1. But, that's with perfect play from black. And I don't think I played that perfectly. Okay, so we're going to do my last thing, and we're going to look at just the highlights of the game, review what we learned really quick. Okay, so I'm going to turn the arrows off. We had a King's Gambit declined, and yeah, I've never faced this move before, especially not without pawn captures. So very interesting. Preserving the bishop is what we're calling this line. And here it turns out that a4 is a move that should be played, gaining space on the queen side. After a6, a5, and bishop here, this space should help white, is what the computer tells me, even though I don't fully understand that. I played bishop g3. c6 is a mistake. The knight needs to occupy this square and attack things. Castles was right. King h1 turned out to be the best move. That's probably the move I'm most proud of in this game because I saw the threat that I can't win this pawn because of takes here, and then check, check with a fork. So that's cool. Bishop g4, I think, was probably not the best continuation because h3 is okay here. And I am pretty happy with my calculations for the sacrifices and my intuition. And we had this, so 2 pawns for a piece. Queen e2. This might be the biggest thing I learned during the game, is that I need to undo the pin in this situation. Queen e1 is the best move, which Megan suggested. So thank you, Megan. I'm definitely going to do that next time I'm in a position like this. So lesson well learned. Turns out this was okay enough for this game at least. And queen f6 is just wrong. So we know now that black needs to open things up, play f5, and try to get pieces in the game. Try to attack. Even h5 is a thought, because this is a passed pawn. So I think black could play more testing here. But queen f6 didn't really do much. I took the pawn and took the queen, game over. So, okay, well, I hope you enjoyed this analysis. I know that I did. And yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll be back with more chess. All right, thank you. Bye.